Hi everyone, and welcome to the Double Stuff Podcast, where we're double the host, double the topics, and double the fun. I'm Charity.
I'm Alan.
Ooh, I'm Sarah.
You guys never give me the memo on how we're gonna say the names. Everyone's being all sexy, and no one told me about the sexy
Alan's
memo.
always the instigator for doing that.
You got to just kind of let it roll out.
Let it all hang out.
Let it all hang out. Come on.
Got some Al Green playing in the background.
Yeah, well, on that nice, sexy little intro, happy Valentine's Day to you all.
Happy Valentine's Day. I don't know what I'm doing. Okay.
You're listening to the sultry undertones of the Double Stuff Podcast.
Well, okay, we're going to probably have a bit of a hopefully educational and not so sappy episode on Valentine's Day.
Oh, we're getting all the sap. All the sap.
Valentine's Day.
With a B.
So we are talking about the 5 love languages.
Ooh.
Do you guys know what those are? They've been around for a while.
Let me see if I can do it.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, take it from the married guy over here.
Well,
He would know.
So there's service is one of them.
Acts of service, yes.
Acts of service. How many are there?
There's 5. You got 1. You got 4 left.
Okay, I'll try. Okay. One of them's got to be like touchy.
Physical touch.
Okay, physical touch.
Touchy-feely, ooey-gooey.
Touchy-feely.
Right. All right. Another acts of service, physical touch.
Maybe it's good we're doing this podcast.
Well, he's given
communication. Is that one?
It's
sort of.
It's like words of affirmation.
Words of affirmation.
Words of affirmation.
So it goes under the communication headline.
Yeah, we don't know all about communication arts, right?
So I'm
You
up
got
to
2 more.
2 more.
You want to phone a friend?
Maybe your wife. I'm sure she would know.
Yeah, she'd tell me.
Got to phone a friend.
She's probably listening like, Alan.
What are the other 2?
Okay.
Well, one of them is like gift giving.
Yeah, so gifts and quality time.
Quality time.
Okay, so just to list them again in order for those of you who are probably painstakingly yelling at the radio right now. So we've got words of affirmation, quality time, physical touch, acts of service, and receiving gifts.
Yes.
So those are the 5 love languages.
Of course they are.
I would also like a disclaimer that this can go for romantic partners as well as non-romantic. So family relationships, friends, all of that, you can still use most of these. Or you can still use all of them.
Well, yeah. I mean, you want to be
less sexy time, more physical
you want to be
touch,
a loving person.
Yeah.
And so any of those would qualify.
So now that we've listed them and kind of talked about a few things about them, do you have a preferred love language? Because I've done the little 5 love languages quiz, and I've always thought, I learned about these when I was like 16, I think. Yeah. And I always thought that the way I give love and the way I receive love is different.
A little bit different.
Yeah. And so I don't know, not everybody...
You're a taker.
Not everybody kind of goes that route, but I think the way you give and receive is different. So do you have a preferred love language? If someone is going to do something for you, out of the 5 love languages, what would you prefer someone to do for you?
Okay. Quality time. Yeah, quality time. Yeah.
Well, what's like, because I'm sure they all have like special defining parts, right? I would like it to, I guess maybe a progression. It would be like, let's spend quality time together. Let's have words of affirmation. And then at some point, touch me. So maybe it's a progression. Right? I mean, one leads to another.
Oh my gosh, I just got lightheaded laughing. Okay.
That's all the time we got for it, guys.
Yeah. What were the other 2? Can I order them?
Well, that is one of the things. If you do go and take the love languages,
and then give me a gift afterwards.
Yeah, if you do take the quiz, it'll give you like a pie chart or percentage of like what your love language is, But you did mention quality time. So someone with this love language does want undivided attention. They feel loved if you are present and focused on them when you are together. So even though you guys are in the same room, if you're talking to them, you still need to be present and listen, which I know some people have trouble with that. So this means putting down the cell phone, turning off the TV or the computer, make eye contact and actively listen. So if someone's like, are you listening to me? Sure. Okay, what did I just say? You need to be able to, So you need to be
recording today?
Yeah, you need to be
Hold
able
on,
to
let me
speak.
put down my phone. Scrolling on the Instagram here.
I don't know what you said, but look at this video of a cat.
Yeah.
See, for quality time, I fully agree with that, but I also enjoy quality time of just being there. So like a prime example, because me, Charity, and our other sister Chrissy, we have very different schedules, and so at least once a month or maybe every other month, we try to have a sister night where we either we watch a movie or we complain about a movie that we hadn't watched yet or something. And so
there's usually pizza involved.
There's usually pizza involved or something, but I kind of enjoy just the interaction. So it may be us watching a movie or something, but it's just the time that we're together.
Oh, yeah.
So keeping eye contact and good conversation 100%, but also just like the fellowship.
Yeah.
So, but I think that falls under quality time as well.
But even in that moment, because it talks about, being fully present, actively listening. If it's a movie, like for the three of us, if it's a movie that we've already seen like 1,000 times, and so we're laughing and joking and talking about it and quoting it, it's not like it's one of those that like, shut up, I'm trying to watch the film. So we're still kind of actively participating in the movie too.
Yeah, it's true, because we seldom watch anything we've never seen before. It's something we've been watching since childhood as adults.
You've got that, it's like comfort food. You've got that comfort movie, that TV series that you always pull out and watch.
And it's always the same, like 2 episodes. Well, we did that just a few years, wow, just a few weeks ago, and that proves that.
So how do you guys feel about words of affirmation? Now, this one, a lot of people...
It's important. It's super
they feel
important.
very uncomfortable about it. And that some people can't, like, even though they want that of affirmation, but like saying it, they kind of feel ashamed.
Well,
we're
talking about like in the realm of a loving relationship, and so there's a lot of trust, there's a lot of risk that you're giving in it. People that tend to, I would say, that don't like words of affirmation, they don't believe it about themselves, and so you need to feel worthy in the relationship to actually receive those words of affirmation. And that's a telltale sign if you're in a relationship and the other person does not take your words of affirmation well. They need to work on themselves. You might need to give a little distance,
and maybe,
or be patient enough to let them work through whatever.
It may be how it's given
on.
too, because maybe some people might feel uncomfortable if they're in a public setting, like if you're saying something and there's family around and they're listening, like versus, hey, let me just send you a nice text message or write a note. Like maybe that frame of words of affirmation that's not public would probably be more well received.
Spontaneous like text throughout the day. That's always good.
Text, uplifting quotes, love notes, words of encouragement. You can make this person's day by complimenting them or pointing out what they do well.
Woman.
I've improved on that one, but I think I feel like we're taught if they do that and then we accept it that we're being like arrogant and prideful. Be like, you're doing good. Yes, I am. People think that we're like, if you accept it, then you're like pompous. And well, because I think that's why they kind of shy away from like you did a good job. It's like, it's nothing. You're quick to kind of shove it off, downplay it.
Yeah, but you need it.
Oh, you definitely need it. But maybe outwardly you're saying it as if I don't want that, but in your mind you're like, oh, that was really sweet.
Yeah.
But now I've definitely, if people do compliment me, I say thank you. That's nice of you to say. And it's taken me years to get to that level of confidence.
Before you just punch them in the face.
Yeah. Boom! Tell me something I don't know.
I love you too. Boom.
That's the physical touch you were talking about, right? Physical impact.
I would say, words of affirmation, I think I've learned to receive that well. I do not really give it well because usually I'll say it always turns into something sarcastic or kind of stupid, and that's just, or I'm trying to be sincere, like I'm really giving it my full effort,
but the delivery comes
and it'll
out.
come out completely wrong, or it might sound insulting. And so words of affirmation is something I do not give well, but I have good meaning too.
Well, that's part of the fun of being in a loving relationship with either a friend, family, or a significant other, where you can be sarcastic and they know
That's true.
that
That's
it's
true.
not meant to be taken literally.
Yeah.
Well,
that's part of the fun of it.
We say this constantly on this show and in front of people that, at least for the Harmon family, our love language is sarcasm. Like, 100%. Like, humor.
And
humor.
the eighth is we punch people in the face.
I love you, bam.
You see that bloody nose? That's red for love.
We do not promote abuse on this show.
No.
BT dubs.
Yeah.
no,
Sarcasm.
It's a cute little family punch around, a nice intimate punch in the face. But yeah, for us, it's just, I feel like humor should be its own category, because I think a sense of humor definitely proves that you are good at taking things, especially depending on what it is, taking it in the way that it's intended, in a funny way. And then you're also able to give it too.
Yeah, I think that there's room for humor, but humor has to, and you're right, it is important, but first it needs to have, you need to be establish the sincerity of feelings that you have with the other person.
And read the room so you can know, you shouldn't be making jokes at a funeral. Like, you should be, more serious or whatever. So
For time and a place.
All right. So this is, I guess, the fun one that everyone talks about. So physical touch. So a person with physical touch as their primary love language feels love through physical affection. Aside from sex, which is the obvious point that we go to, they do feel love when their partner holds their hand or touches their arm or gives them a nice pat for a job well done. That also counts as physical touch. This person's idea of a perfect date night could include cuddling on the couch with a glass of wine and a good movie, or just simply being close to their partner or friend or relative or whatever, as we just stated during sister night or movie night.
Yeah.
So
I feel like that's probably the last on my list. Or at least until I have reason to use that. Because then if I do that, then that does, because I feel like there's a bit of a vulnerability once you get to physical touch. Like, I can do the others, I can do the affirmation, I can give gifts, I can be funny, but I think once there's actual, like, holding hands or something involved, then it's like,
well, physical touch should always be done with consent, but in a lighter setting, if
I'm
someone
just
is
saying,
like
just,
giving you a pat on the back for a job well done,
I'm all
that's
for a
like
pat. That's as far as anything's gone. So I've got many pats on the back. Sarah, pat on the back, Harmon. That's me.
I will say physical touch is probably my last one. I don't prefer it, but if someone I won't initiate it, but if a friend gives me a hug, I'll hug them back. I'm not going to just sit there.
That, or we do the Christian side hug that we were also taught, right? The good old,
I mean, that too, but I'm not, if you want a hug, you got to hug me first. I'm not going to come after you with a hug, because that's weird.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
all right, so acts of service. This one I think is kind of underrated. I think when people think love languages, all the other ones kind of go to the top. I think acts of service is huge because it kind of puts actions to the words, that you've probably said. So acts of service are nice things that you do for your partner to make them feel loved and appreciated, such as helping with the dishes, running errands, vacuuming, putting gas in a car, etc.
Taking out trash.
Yeah, any of that
sweeping
stuff.
the floor.
I think the nice thing
Cleaning
with
the
acts of service
garage.
too is that you do it without being
Driving
asked.
the kids to school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You just gotta list them all.
And then picking them up afterwards.
Going after school. Bringing home a paycheck.
Basic
So just
remedial.
life.
Cooking.
Cooking is huge.
Yeah,
Cooking
that's
is
a good one.
huge. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot. That should be a love language too.
Well, that
'Cause
would
I
go
know-
under acts of service.
Okay.
Well, that could also
Because I know a lot
that could
of
also go
people
under quality time.
If you're cooking together.
That
but-
would. Well, I don't even know about cooking together, but just I'm gonna work very hard on this relatively small project with the intention to not only give you a meal, but to make it as delicious as possible. And I think a lot of people equate, they say
Yeah.
the way to a person's heart is through their stomach,
Yeah.
And I mean, you can suffer through a relationship if the person has terrible taste in food.
Yeah.
And I think it's important. You got to, just like minds with music, films, movies, whatever, you have to have the same palate. I mean, you can't have, we had talked about, I think, in the game that we just played at the end of another season, like your level of spiciness. If my level of spiciness and we were cooking and I was just thinking about me, it would be super spicy.
Yeah.
But if you received it knowing that I like spicy food and that it was milder, and then you'd know that I made it just for you and that I was foregoing my own spiciness level so that you could enjoy it. I think that's
or that you took the time if you made two separate things.
Okay. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's also special too for any acts of service that you do something either without being asked or without like having a holiday attached to it. So not just, oh, it's Christmas, it's your birthday, anniversary. It's like, it's July 1st. I washed your car. There's no special, like, you just did it
or
out of the goodness of your
vacuum the
heart.
floor mats.
Yeah.
You're giving some very specific. If someone inflate my tires.
Well, when it comes, because what we're talking about is usually, when you're talking about the love languages, it can apply. Usually, we're talking about like new relationships or getting into relationships. But to sustain a relationship, it's all the little things. I mean, it's never the big things anymore.
Yeah.
It's the fact that your favorite coffee is getting low, and before you even buy it or think to buy it, I've already bought it for you, and it's already there. It's those things.
Yeah, our dad is good at that. He's like Mary Poppins with a carpet bag, because it could be something like, oh man, I didn't realize I was out of this, and then he goes upstairs. And then, like 2 minutes later, comes down. He was like, "Yeah, I had an extra one." I'm like, "Where does this come from?" Well, it's great though. Yeah.
Well, it goes back to because we mentioned it in quality time about actively listening. Because
Daddy has a radar.
We'll mention something just in passing. Like I could be at the house and I'll say, "Oh, I ran out of toothpaste the other day." Blah blah blah, and that's conversation has gone. That was just something in the past.
Right.
And then before I'm leaving the house, he's like, "Oh, here's something," like what Sarah said. So like.
Yeah.
I didn't say it hoping that someone would give me toothpaste, but he heard it and then acted out on it. So yeah, that's huge too.
Yeah. So thank you, Daddy. Public service announcement.
All right. So the last one, this is probably a preference of mine as far as giving love to someone, and this is gift giving.
Gift giving.
So for someone who uses in response to this love language, gift giving indicates love and affection. They treasure not only the gift itself, but also the time and effort the gift giver put into it. And so I think that's better maybe because it's a little less touchy-feely, but it kind of goes to what we were just saying. It's like, hey, I saw this and thought of you. And it's like, oh, okay, you didn't have to do that,
Or a crafter that makes something specifically. Like a scarf or a hat.
Yeah, handmade stuff definitely has
because that takes time for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So out of these, how would you say you receive love and how do you give love out of these 5 love languages?
Well, it would have to be kind of like what you were talking about. It's pieces of all 5.
But do you have
Is there a major wedge?
Is there a major one? Is there one that's like, this is probably my top if you had to pick one? Receive love, what would you say?
No. I'll go back to what I said at the beginning, which is the quality time. I mean, if for somebody that is important in my life, I need to be around them and I want them around me, that sort of a thing. So yeah, I would say quality time.
So that would go for both giving and receiving? You'd be probably the same level?
That's a good question. I don't know, because like my 2 best friends from childhood, they live in different cities. One lives in Kansas City and the other one lives in Mobile, Alabama. And we don't spend quality time necessarily like in presence with each other, but I don't know. This is interesting. Yeah, like how far. Okay, but that's going back to what this is usually used for in starting a relationship. Let's just keep it like that. Not childhood friends, not relationships that we've had.
Yes, and you're married, so you get to answer that differently anyway.
Well, I'd stick with quality time. Can I stand being around this person? Is this worth the investment of time and energy to be a relationship that I want to foster.
Yeah.
I
And
think
also
that's
works
most-
with your girls too.
Yeah.
That's huge. Father-daughter relationship's huge.
Well, I'm talking about like starting a relationship.
Yes, I'm keeping it open for all people who are not in a relationship.
Yeah,
you
but
can
this is-
use these in any aspect.
Well, that I guess
Well, yeah.
since it's also
Well, I'm talking
Valentine's
about
Day, I
friends,
figure we were
too.
being more
Yeah.
romantic
yeah,
because it's
I'm
Valentine's.
encompassing all forms of relationships.
Oh, I was just setting those aside. Like even if it's friendships or things like that, I need to make sure
It's to be quality time.
Yeah, that we're going to have quality time together to where I want to have lunch with you or something like that.
So, Sarah, what would be your preference for giving or receiving of the 5 love languages?
I feel like they all kind of mesh together because I feel like you can't always have one without the other. Because if you are going to take the time to do something, then it also depends on where you go. Because like let's say you do spend time fixing dinner, maybe that could be your thing. Like you like to fix stuff together, and that could also be the gift of time and giving the service of using your ability to cook and eat and all that. It all comes together. But I guess for me, it's kind of a mixture of quality time and gift giving.
Okay.
Because I do like to give gifts to people. And it could be the gift of time, but sometimes I like actually giving objects. Usually the objects are food related, because it is true that I think food is a good gift to give. So I think it's a good mixture of the two. Because I guess just because of our family dynamic, I think we have learned to do that, kind of like we were talking about with Daddy, like someone says something and like that word triggers like, okay, they need something like this or something. And a lot of times it is something that, it's just said in passing. And then I get it and they're like, oh, you didn't have to do that, So I guess that could also be affirming because it's like, oh, you actually say something like, oh, thank you for doing this. You didn't have to do it, but you did anyway. That's what I'm saying. It all connects somehow.
Yeah, that's what we were saying. Like they all do connect, but what's the one wedge? Like
Yeah, normally if you do take the test, it'll give you different percentages
Right.
that you prefer like one over the other. But
because even Prince couldn't decide. He needed that extra time and that.
You really committed to that bit, didn't you? I'll go,
I almost. Hey guys, that wasn't even Prince. That was me.
that was you?
Oh, what?
That came out of your very own mouth, huh?
so talented.
But I'll go ahead. I'll go ahead and put gift giving for me, and then the weird subgenre of sarcasm. So giving the gift of laughter. That's my contribution.
Well, on that note, Sarah, since we have loved doing this podcast for all
Yeah,
of
it's
you,
like you didn't say
I
yours.
said receiving gifts. I said it
you
as
did.
we were
right,
talking.
you did.
You did.
Yeah,
All
because I
right.
said I don't like physical touch, so gift giving.
Yeah.
Should I re-explain?
No, you did.
Okay, because we're also running out of time.
I think the gift of being self-absorbed made us forget that you said something.
Someone was not actively listening during this quality time of podcasting.
I was thinking about Prince.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, you guys.
R.I.P.
Now that the gift of time has now expired for the Double Stuff podcast, we'll go ahead and call this one an episode until we revisit this again. So yeah, happy Valentine's Day. But we already know the best one's the 15th because that's when the candy's marked down. So that's when I get my 50% off chocolate. So Valentine's Day as well as the chocolate afterwards. Thank you for listening to our episode. You can listen to 190 other episodes on our website at doublestuffpod.com. Of course, we're available on all the different platforms, and we're on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube at Double Stuff Podcast, and on Twitter X at Double Stuff P, and that's the letter P.
You don't have